Welcome to this episode of our book read through of Elon Musk, Woke Messiah by Albion. When we left off, we were on this page. And it starts with a quote from Bertrand Russell. And it reads, "Patriots always talk of dying for their country, but never of killing for their country." Yes. The whole idea of nationalism is an interesting conversation, probably. Kind of goes back to that other Russell quote about any nation is not as bad or as good as you think it is, maybe. Then we have an LBM blurb from 2052, and it reads, "Honesty is a creature like no other, a naked animal. Truth as we see it, constantly changing shape and form. Nothing is harder, to be completely truthful and openly direct. Nothing is more adventurous, to speak without deliberation or hesitation. Socially unacceptable at times, society's most fatal and unattractive flaw. Honesty will push many far away and attract very few. However, these few will be the truest, most loyal friends. Your reality will be truly simple yet honestly chaotic. Your reality will be true, seeing others and yourself unveiled. You will belong to a most distinguished and misunderstood class." And in bold it says, "Honesty is more adventurous and truly misunderstood." So honesty might not be truth, but it's like truth as you see it in that moment, right? It's more like intent. I think society, we've grown up to, like he says, veil that in certain circumstances, or tone it down. Below that it says, "Hey Elon, how do you think humanity will be different in 1,000 years from a physical and mental standpoint?" And in parentheses it says, "Weaker, smarter." So you think we'll be weaker physically and smarter mentally? Or Albion does? It seems like that's the kind of the direction we're going. Smarter might be debatable. Next page is a poem that reads, "You could be me. When you complain and scoff, there's always someone worse off. Someone who feels more pain, someone who has less to gain. Someone you don't want to be, that someone else is me." Everything's relative. Everyone, but on the flip side, I guess someone's always got it better. In that moment, at least. Below that, it says, "Number of Tesla bots on Earth and Mars, private and commercial, approximate." So this, I guess we could compare with the number of Teslas on Earth and Mars. So in 2032, so it starts in 2032, Earth has 10,000, and 42 100,000, and 52 a million, and 62 1.5 million, and 72 3.5 million. Okay? That's a lot of Tesla bots. But 10,000 in 10 years, that doesn't sound impossible. And on Mars in 2032, there will be 100, 42 10,000, 52 100,000, 62 200,000, just over, and 72 just over 500,000. Yeah, that could definitely change kind of life as we know it here and on Mars. Imagine walking around just seeing a bunch of Tesla bots working or interacting. Kind of cool, as long as it doesn't go dark. Then below that it says, "Is anyone on the planet providing more hope for humanity than Elon?" And then in parentheses it says, "Fuck no." Sounds pretty sure of himself in that answer. But I would agree, or I'd be interested in whoever you think is, because he seems like he's leading that charge, and there doesn't seem like there's many or anyone it's even close in that respect, in my humble opinion. On the next page, is Intermission. Like a play? Intermission. And then it says, go for a walk, get a drink, call a loved one, do a dance, write a poem, stretch, breathe, take a nap, compliment yourself. Those are all good ideas. And then it says, welcome back, beautiful. And then in parentheses it says, I'm blushing. Okay. Yeah, we probably should take a break here. Why don't we read one more page and then we'll come back and do all these wonderful suggestions. Next page is a Bertrand Russell quote that reads, so far as I can remember, there is not one word in the Gospels in praise of intelligence. Yeah, Bertrand Russell, he's, I wouldn't say anti-religion, but he definitely questions it. I don't know, maybe he is anti-religion. But the gospel is not praising intelligence, which is obviously high on Russell's list of priorities. Then there's an LBM blurb from 2079, and it reads, there is no logic or punctuation to my writing, sentences strung together only by the relationships of my thoughts. Pages begin to cover the floor, gracefully falling from my overflowing desk. There is no hesitation to this writing. There is no criticism or editing. It is a perfect copy of my mind, an indefinable mess. There are no crumpled papers, for the purpose is not perfection, but purification. Whoa. In bold it reads, it is a perfect copy of my mind, for the purpose is not perfection, but purification. Interesting. So I wonder if some of these blurbs are kind of that for LBN, that, he's writing just to get thoughts out of his head. And it seems like he's, hitting on the same subjects a lot. But I think there's probably a lot of people like that, that if they don't write something down, it just constantly stirs up in their head and they can't kind of let it go until they put it down on paper, maybe. Below that it says, perhaps there is freedom in living a life that is hard enough where death provides at least a little relief. And then in parentheses it says, interesting. I probably would have said interesting without that, since I say it all the time. Yeah. Perhaps there is freedom in living a life that is hard enough where death provides at least a little relief. Yeah, are those that fear death scared of the pain it's going to cause, or they're afraid that they feel their life is so good they don't want it to end? But if you have a hard life, does death provide at least a little relief? Something to consider. Next page. It says, hey Elon, ideally, how would you like to see the population of Mars grow the first 100 years after landing? Yeah, it seems like growing the population there is gonna be slow, especially at the beginning. How much of that population is gonna boom from people being born there versus people flying there? And I wonder if I imagine he's probably thought about it, but it'd be interesting to hear his thoughts on how he sees that growing. Below that we have LBM blur from 2049, and it reads, I found there was only one way to ensure pleasure. I had to manufacture my own pain. I had to find unpleasantness and inflict it upon myself. Sure, I could seek pleasure directly, but this would only ensure future pain. It was an equation that could be manipulated but never unbalanced for long. For nature always draws you towards center. So pick your poison wisely, or it will be picked for you. And that last part is in bold. Yeah, I think this goes back to his pleasure, pain, balance kind of thought process. Yeah, so if everything's balanced, if you kind of inflict pain on yourself, then nature is going to balance that out with pleasure. Interesting. And then we have a poem at the bottom that reads, I'll stay here where it's damp and cold, comforted by the mossy mold. I've never left this cave of mine. I guess I'm waiting for a sign to show me the light is best. Until then, I'll sit and rest. Yeah, so I think that comes down to motivation a little bit. What moves people, and maybe some people are more hesitant to move until they're sure that moving is going to provide a better situation, while others are probably much more inclined to kind of jump or move and then just deal with the consequences. Very good. All right, that's the end of this episode. Join us for the next episode, and until then, have a great day.